You know, whatever it takes. Yeah. You know, whatever you need to. Wow. That's may not be in the goals. My goodness, you look like your mother today. Oh my God, that's Phyllis. Oh, he was very sweet. Yes, very sweet. Follow on. There's a nice. Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah, that would be. Yeah. We're gonna go right side. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a perfect time to make sure all cell phones are turned off for the purpose. No. Thank you.
Good afternoon, friends, beloved family. I'm Rabbi Steve Kay, and honored as we come together as a community this afternoon to say shalom to Josh and tell stories about the richness of an all too short life. Someone who had a passion for life, who loved his fish and loved all kinds of things. We're going to hear about a lot of love today. And doing that, for those who have never been to a Jewish funeral before, there's no set really Jewish funeral liturgy. There are psalms and readings. The most important things are the words of the hesped of the eulogy. We speak of the person whose life was, and we understand the richness and the fullness of it, much like opening a good bottle of red as compared to a bottle of white. Bottle of white you open and it's nice to enjoy, but a good bottle of red you kind of let breathe and you enjoy. And this is a wonderful bottle of red, but bottle of red that we'd like to continue for many, many more years. And that's not what the reality is today. So first of all, thank you on behalf of the family for being with us. For those of us who love Colorado, on days like today, we have many different experiences when we look out to the mountains. In 1 hour and 10 minutes or in 3 minutes, our view and our experience with the mountain changes. And many of us are not necessarily religious. We say so many people in Colorado, their religion is spiritual, but not religious, SBNRs. You can be both spiritual and religious. I know that I'm always in awe of that. And the authors of the 121st Psalm understood that in the beauty of the Judean hills. If you've ever been to Israel and seen the Judean hills, there's a majesty that happens. And the psalmist said, Esai enai el harim me'anyavo esri, esri me'im Adonai oseh shema ba'aretz, ayitin lan mutrek lecha ayunum shemrecha, hinei lo yunum l'shan shemo Yisrael, anai shmercha anat silchat yamincha, Yamem Hashemesh lo yakeka v'rohala, no yishmor mikora, shmor nafshecha, tzerecha, voacha, me'etzav olam. I lift up mine eyes to the hills, I lift up mine eyes to the mountains. And where does my help come? My help comes from God who has made heaven and earth. God does not let your foot be moved. God who keeps you does not slumber nor sleep. God is your keeper. God is your shade on your right hand. The sun shall not smite you by day, nor the moon by night. God will keep you from all evil. God will keep your life. God will keep your going in and your coming out from this time forth and forevermore. There is an Israeli poet, her name is Zelda, who has this really meaningful poem that we pause on this day called Everyone Has a Name. In this week's Torah portion, in Synagogue Life, every week we read select parts of the 5 books of Moses. We start the new book of Shemot, which is the book of names. And many of you know the story of Exodus. You've seen it near Passover and Easter and Charlton Heston and all the other wonderful things. The question that I always have is that Moses gets his name when he is pulled out from the water by Pharaoh's daughter. And I always want to know, what was Moses called in the first weeks of his life? What was he called? And we think about the names that we attribute to each one of us, the names that we attribute to our loved ones, tender names, names of what our title or status is, names of a loving friend or family member. And so as I read this poem, I ask you to think about, what were the names that you have for Josh, and what was your relationship of that name to the sacredness of it? Zelda said, L'chol ish yesh shem shenatan lo Elohim, v'natnu lo avi v'imo. Each one of us, every person has a name. We are given a name by God, and we are given a name by our father and our mother. We each have a name given by our stature and smile, and given by our attire. We each have a name given by the hills and given by the walls. We each have a name given by the stars and given by our friends. We each have a name given by our sins and given by our yearnings. We each have a name given by our enemies and given by our love. We each have a name given by celebrations and given by our work. We each have a name given by the seasons and given by our blindness. We each have a name given by the sea and now given by our death. And Josh will be called by many names by those who are here to offer wonderful tributes to him. And we start with his uncle, Dr. Stephen Gordon, who had the unique honor also of bringing him into this world, of giving that little pat on the tush as he came out into the world. He delivered him. So I think this is a first moment for me, what we call a shechim moment, because I've never been with someone who's delivered someone who we also say shalom to at the same moment in time. Dr. Gordon.
It's a sad day for all of us today. I'm honored to be reading the tribute to Josh written by Mike. We can't think of a better way for Michael and Deborah to start introducing Josh with information everyone might not be aware of. He was an incredible, beautiful baby and such joy. What a punim. But every parent says that, but he really was. And we have the pictures to prove it. First and foremost, he has always been a real mensch in every way. There is nothing more endearing than how we all came together as a very young Josh, embraced and loved Francie and Cody as his loving family. So much of the joy belonged to Josh's Uncle Steve. It was Dr. Steve Gordon who actually delivered Josh, both literally and figuratively. We called Steve our stork when he came home from the hospital with our 3-day-old baby Josh. Let's talk about who being Joshua Harmon Gordon is. Always a sensitive, caring, and loving soul, whose whole being is driven by his incredible sense of fairness and ethics. He was a wonderful well, I'm missing a page. Sorry. He was a wonderful and compassionate human being who has gone from us way too soon. We knew Josh was a smart kid from the start. When most little kids were reading among the bedtime story, Goodnight Moon, we noticed Josh was reading a copy of the New York Times he found on the breakfast table. By his second piano lesson, he was reading music. When he took on a project, he always focused it on being the best it can be. What a wonderful attribute, especially for a chef. Cooking wasn't his only passion in his culinary world. Creating new dishes, products, and concept development was what excited him. As the director of development, he created new menu ideas for some largest high-profile brands in the country. You'd recognize every name. People said he took after his dad. Not so. Culinary was always a passion. After graduating from college with a degree in psychology, he immediately said he can't really see himself as a psychologist. He tried to confirm his new life's direction, so he applied to and was accepted to a combined master's and doctorate postgraduate program, but he wasn't swayed from his desire for a culinary career and not to become a shrink. Going to a really good culinary school was next for him. His identity of Chef Josh was born into a new profession that he loved. As a chef, he had several articles published in national food magazines. He was also so nonchalant about these and all his other accomplishments, and I'll bet few people even knew about those. A Josh story to share was we were teaching Josh how to ride a 2-wheel bicycle by removing his training wheels and reassured him that we would hold him up when he was trying to ride and balance on the bike. By the time the tools were back in the garage, Josh was nowhere to be found. He took off on his own, touring the neighborhood on his new bike. He started building beautiful guitars that are magnificent. He also built 2 huge saltwater fish tanks and took on building his modern staircase in his house. His love of his 2 dogs, Bo and Yala, were heartwarming to see. He loved those 2 dogs so much. It's so comforting to know that Deborah and Cody are taking the dogs to their great home in California, and that the 2 dogs will continue to still be together. Josh globetrotted with his mother, who took him several trips to Europe, Africa, Israel, and Egypt's pyramids. Their travels literally took them around the world. What a great start for being introduced to so many authentic international dishes. Who knew? Because as an infant, he would only eat pasta without sauce and hot dogs nearly every day. He had an early eye for food styling, demanding his grilled cheese sandwiches be cut at an angle. He had a passion for skiing and mountain biking. That happens going to college in Colorado. He actually started at the university in Boulder when he was still a senior in high school. His love of skiing was encouraged by his wonderful grandfather, Deborah's father, Leslie Whitten, a famous author. Thank goodness Deborah and Cody shared his passion for skiing, while his Coach Potato dad shared a passion for cooking and eating. Off-trail skiing and mountain biking has become a new hobby. It was his way to be on the mountains that he loved, even when there was no snow. It took a while for us to get over his requested Hanukkah gift of an avalanche beacon to help find him and other skiers who might get lost in an avalanche. For over 5 years, Josh was the chef de cuisine at Safta, one of the outstanding restaurants in Denver, a position he was so proud of. Co-worker at the restaurant wrote us saying that she was always very excited to work with Josh. He was one of a kind, and that he always had a smile, always put a smile on her face, which we loved to hear. We once asked Josh if his team called him chef at the restaurant. He typically greets diners in his chef whites, but he says he prefers to not wear a big chef's hat called a toque. He said it's too showy. He said he prefers just Josh because he thinks that better establishes me as a peer with the other back of house team members. That's so Josh. He surprised us when he said he was completely fluent in Spanish. I asked him, how in the world did that happen? He said in the years, he always got close to the people he managed, who were primarily Hispanic crews. Again, he said it garnered mutual respect. He even earned coveted positions working at Charlie Trotter's and Alina as an expediter, but hated working there because of the way those elitist chefs were so rude and how they treated and spoke to their employees. And besides, plating dishes with tweezers was not a job he could ever stomach. Josh, we love you, and our lives will never, never be the same without you. You are gone far too soon, only to be able to give you more hugs and kisses and share more things, to be so proud and brag about you. This is not fair. This is beyond one can imagine. As we say in Hebrew, Ohev Shalom, peace be upon him. May his memory be for a blessing.
Thank you, Steve and Mike. That was a beautiful tribute. I'm Cody Engel. I'm Josh's stepdad. I got to know Josh when I met Deborah, his mother. I believe Josh was very pleased when I asked his permission to marry her. Josh was often a quietly observant man who listened carefully and spoke thoughtfully. Josh had an exceptional quality that when he took an interest in a subject, he mastered it. Josh became interested in creating electric guitars. He built a fully equipped workshop and produced many beautiful instruments, which also, my grandson reports, sound great. Josh long had an interest in saltwater aquariums. He then discovered the challenging concept of growing coral, which it turns out is very demanding and precise, requiring specific salinity, temperature, and lighting. He would successfully nurse coral to growth, and then he would pass it on to a store that could sell it to folks who wanted to grow coral or have coral. Josh's interest and devotion to food preparation and delivery at the highest levels is legendary. As a founding team member of SAFTA, Josh spent 5 years working with the team to deliver some of the best food in the city. And while the task was incredibly demanding during COVID and after, Josh worked only to provide the best experience. You guys all know that. This past spring, Josh decided to take a break from food service and explore new areas. One of his dreams was to make his guitar business a sustainable economic proposition. Josh hosted our entire family for Thanksgiving. He said at that time, his greatest joy is putting a plate full of food in front of people and watching them like it. In life, Josh pursued a path of mastery of things that interested him and a commitment to excellence. Always in his quiet way, Josh focused on being the best and enjoying the trip. We will miss this tall, handsome man with a gentle smile, a strong will, and a firm grip. We will remember him as someone who believed that there was only one way to do things, and that was to do it right. Thank you, Josh, for being part of our lives.
Before Lone comes up and share some thoughts, Deborah and Cody and Francie and Michael, these are the hardest moments because it's not the natural order. Usually it is the child who stands and offers tributes to their parent. A child fulfills the fifth commandment of Kabed Avicha v'et Imecha, to give honor to father and mother for life. And when I spoke with all of you, and we'll hear more of my thoughts in a few moments, you gave honor to one another, that the four of you as grown adults were his parents. I don't think there was a sense of step parents. You were his parents who loved him, guided him, accepted him, listened to him, felt because of him, were pained at times because every parent is pained by their child. If not, there's something amiss there. And most of all, you smiled at his accomplishments because you gave him and instilled him good values. And so as this community gathers today, we can't feel your pain or understand your pain, but we can stand with you in Makom, in the place of this pain. If you look around the room today, friends, colleagues, people whose lives have been touched, share with you in this grief. And so we know your heart has an indelible mark, a pain that is never really healed. Alone.
There's only one North Star, a guiding light for us all to look up to understand the direction in which we need to go, to keep us grounded, and to shine its light over us, especially when it's dark. Our dear Josh passed on his bright light with its eternal energy to us all. Even during the worst of storms, he was someone who we could follow, who we could know that we were following towards the right direction. Through the dense fog, we were secure under his watch. We felt comfortable within his presence, knowing that he would extend his hand for us to grasp when we weren't sure where to go. Josh had the power within him to have soared through the sky as a shooting star, leaving us all behind in his stardust. But that wasn't who he wanted to be. Instead, he chose to remain in a place where we could always find him, to give us the confidence that he would always be there when we needed him. He took his time, used his energy to build trust, to earn respect, and to help us all feel like everything would be okay. I've known Josh for just a small window of time that he spent here with us, but his influence will remain with me forever. The good friend, the voice of reason, the caring and gentle soul, the talented chef and craftsman. Josh remains with us. He used the time that he had here to do good work. He was a gift. Thank you, Josh, for shining your light on us.
Thank you, Alon. We call dear friend Kelly to share some thoughts.
Hi, my name is Kelly Kudwa. I'm one of Josh's best friends. His family asked me to speak today. Told them I'd be honored, but I'll keep it short and sweet. I guess we should start with how we met. I'm dating myself here, but we met all the way back in 1999, freshman year of college at CU Boulder, Hallett Hall. It's where they put all the bad kids. Yeah. In fact, a lot of us here today are from CU Boulder. We've been friends a long time. It's actually wonderful that we have this group that we started so long ago, and our bonds have even grown stronger. Josh and I were particularly close all through college, and after college too. We hung out a lot when he lived in Broomfield. We kept in touch when he was in Chicago, and then again when he moved to Montana. And then one day out of the blue, he called me and said, "Cootie, I'm moving back to Colorado." And I was so excited because I was getting my best friend back. And he moved back. He stayed with me for a little bit while he looked for places to live. And then he moved back and we got to hang out again all the time. And it was wonderful. I'm a night shift nurse and he was a chef. So we both had very odd schedules, and we hung out a lot on weekdays. Mondays and Tuesdays were our nights to hang out, and we'd take turns cooking and watching movies and just having a good time catching up. And I would say I'd probably cook the majority though, because he told me the last thing I want to do is cook after being in the kitchen all night. So that was fair. Except for I'd say it was about 3 years ago, we decided to do Thanksgiving, the two of us, no family, no other friends. We were going to wear pajamas, and we cooked the entire spread of Thanksgiving food, probably enough food for 10 people. And it was just the two of us. And it was really fun. And I'm going to miss those times. We were very close. We leaned on one another. We gave each other advice. I'd actually like to personally take credit for the majority of his interior decorating at his home. I helped him pick out the flooring, the paint, the carpet. I personally helped him hang every piece of artwork in that house. He'd put something up and it's like, oh, that doesn't look good there. He was my official dog sitter for my dog Gozer. I officially always was watching Bo and Yala. I'm sure they'll all miss each other a lot. I'm sure Gozer's wondering where his uncle Josh is. not only did we lean on each other a lot, but we also had excellent banter. I don't know if a lot of you know this, but we're from rival towns. He's from Highland Park, Illinois, and I'm from Lake Forest. So we used to rip on each other quite a bit and make fun of each other. And I think that's one of the things I'll miss the most about Josh is his great sense of sarcasm. He was really good at making fun of me. But our friendship was so much, but he was obviously friends with so many people here. And I think a lot of us that had the opportunity to be with him these last 5 years when he moved back to Colorado, saw how well he was doing. He was thriving. He was doing so well in his career. He had bought a beautiful home. He was so happy. So I think that it obviously was such a shock to all of us that he's no longer with us. And that's why we're so devastated. I'll miss our dinners, hanging out, laughing at our dogs play together, skiing. We lost one of the good ones. We all be a little bit more empty because of him being gone. I'd like to close with a poem, There's No Light Without a Dawning, by Helen Steiner Rice. No winter without a spring, and beyond the dark horizon, our hearts will once more sing. For those who leave us for a while have only gone away out of a restless, pure, warm world into a brighter day. We will all miss you so much, Josh, especially me. Thank you.
Stephen and Cody and Alon and Kelly, you just captured in just a little bit, a sliver of this sacred soul. One of the most interesting words, I think, in the English language is the word love, because love means different things to different people in different contexts. There is the love of parents for children and children for parents, love among friends and love among lovers, a love of food, a love to ski, a love for dogs. And Rabbi Chaim Stern wrote these words. He said, "It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. It is a fearful thing to love, hope, dream, and to be, and to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing to love, what death has touched." There are things that you don't learn in rabbinical school or over the years. So I'm going to try something that I've not done ever in a funeral. So I'm going to ask for your participation. If you turn to someone next to you in one word, that's all I'm going to ask, that describes your relationship with Josh, and then we'll come back together as a sacred community. One word that describes Josh. So that's it. I want you to hold on to that word, because as I did not have the honor or privilege to know Josh, I learned about him through, as we say in South Philadelphia, yous guys. Through all of you, I learned about Josh, and I heard this one word was integrity. And integrity looks in many different ways. As I said to you earlier, this week's Torah portion is a story about this historical man by the name of Moses. And many of us, as we come in February, we know the story of Abraham Lincoln chopping down the tree, and George Washington chopping down the cherry tree, and Abraham Lincoln walking miles to return a book. And American material call that stories. We tried to make it up. In Hebrew, we have something called a midrash, a story. It's not in real truth, but it's to make a point. And there was a story that when Moses was brought by Pharaoh's daughter, when he was drawn out from the water and given the name Moshe, Pharaoh wasn't so sure about who this boy was, and he put out two piles. One was a pile of jewels, and one was a pile of fire. And if he reached for the jewels, he was not to be kept in the the power of the palace. So he starts crawling along, the Midrash says, and he looks at the bright jewels and he sees the fire. He touches the fire and he then puts his fingers on his tongue, because we learn later that Moses is slow in speech. And because of the moment that happened. And we think about, what does it mean when we get close to the fire, we're slow in speech? We have a choice of jewels or somehow to injure ourselves and make a choice. And we often stand in the middle and we make good choices. As I believe, as I heard, that all of us are created in the divine image, and we don't take people who come from different places better or worse. And when you shared with me that Josh wanted to learn Spanish so he could speak with everyone in the kitchen, that's the word integrity. That is part of the word, to understand people who are around you and engage in Lashon Kodesh, in holy language, to be with people where you are. And it wasn't just to speak, it was because you shared with me that sometimes not everyone in the kitchen is treated with respect by other people in authority. And that was not Josh. He understood that. So integrity, respect, these are the words that hold us close to him. And so as Shabbat comes, there is this beautiful reading. It tells us that the light of life is a finite flame. Like the candles of the Sabbath, life is kindled, it burns, it glows, it gives off beauty and rays of warmth, but soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see and we can be seen. The moments of a flame dance, and our lives are full. But as night follows the day's shadows, follows the flames and blur our view, we fail to see and can no longer be seen. Yet we do not despair, for our fate is more than a memory. With our lives, we give life. We are links in the eternal chain of darkness and death, of light and of life. When our life begins, it's really an open book. We get a choice to do things. This reading came to mind. An empty page, an open book, a day of ultimate questions. Will I still be here next year at this time with the ones I love besides me? What is in store for my family? And what is in store for my friends? Who will have reasons to celebrate? Who will be content with grief? New love, new babies, marriages, deepening or breaking apart, prosperity, struggle, reversals of fortune, illness, and health await us. Who will be missing when we gather next? Who will stand apart? Who will be estranged and who will have guided us and joined us, enriching our community and our circle of friends? On the edge of the unknown, we tremble. What lies ahead for all of us? An empty book, an open page, nothing is written and nothing is sealed. Yet this we possess, the strength to persist, to prevail, to comfort one another in the dark. Think about your empty page. How would Josh want you to fill that page in the days, weeks, and months to come? The words from the 23rd Psalm, Mizmor David Adonai Roi. Please join with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He lead me in the right paths for the sake of his name. Even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. With rod and staff you comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the streets beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. I ask you to rise for the memorial prayers. El male rachamim, shochem beromim, hametzeh menucha nechona, tachak nefecha shchina, im kedoshim u'torim, kezera hadkir mazhirim, et nishmat Yehoshua ben Michal v'Davra, shalach lahomo ba'al harachamim, Seter b'seter b'yamim, v'yitzro b'yitzro hechaim nishmato, anayhun nelachto, v'yanuach b'shalom, am yiskavo, v'nomar, amen. O God, full of compassion, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest under the wings of your presence to our beloved Josh, who has entered eternity. Master of mercy, let him find refuge forever in the shadow of your wings. Oh, this kind soul filled with integrity, love for his family, love for his friends, love for his community, and love for the zest of life, a life all too short. May he be bound up in the eternal life, the eternal God, his inheritance. And as a sacred community, we say, amen. At the rising of the sun that's going down, remember Josh. At the opening of the buds and the rebirth of spring, we'll remember him. When we eat a good meal, we remember Josh. When we are weary in need of strength, we remember him. When we're lost and sick at heart, we remember him. We have joy to crave, to share with others, we remember Josh. We have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember him. When we're surrounded by good friends and family and loving stories, we remember him. As long as we live, Josh too will live, for he is now a part of us as we remember him. The words of the Mourner's Kaddish are found in the Kaddish cards that you should have in front of you. Do you have the card? And we say the words in Kaddish. Yikra, Yitzrash, Ne'evan, Yama, Yibra, Yitzrash, I have one money in the call, take this family. I allow this month to be in the Hey, Shnara, everyone. Love, you love, you are, it's a big thing. You can run and you want to make it. And Lord, public is on the shoe of time. You should not be on the who says she was my mother? Yeah, says she was. A lady of the and the source of peace and comfort to all who mourn and to all who grieve. Please be seated. As we come to the conclusion of our service here at Feldman's, and you're invited to join us for a reception and tell some wonderful stories. And as we say in Yiddish, to essen fress means to eat and enjoy, because in our tradition, we raise the cup and we say l'chaim, to life, even in the darkness and the pain of death. Our closing prayer. At this moment, which bears the memory of Josh, we join in love and remembrance. A link has been broken in the chain which is bound all of us together. We give thanks to the blessings of his life, of his journeys, of his adventures, companionship, memory, and stories still to be told. We are grateful for the strength and faith that sustains us in this our bereavement. We think of others who have lost loved ones, and our heart hurts for them as well. Though sorrow lingers, we have learned that love is stronger than death. Though Josh is beyond our sight, we do not despair, for we sense him in our hearts as a living presence. Zichron Livracha, may his memory always be a blessing. May our cups always overflow with sweetness and blessings when we say Josh's name, when we have good stories to tell, and may our lives be enriched because we love Josh and Josh loved us, and together let us say, Amen. Our service is concluded. You're welcome to say hello to the family and then join us in the reception room. May you all be blessed. Amen.
All right.
Not actually.